Welcome everybody, good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm calling the regular meeting of the Town Planning Zoning Commission to order on Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. My name is Jeff Kennedy. I'm presently the acting chair of the Woodbridge Town Planning Zoning Commission. Other members of the commission with us tonight are Aaron Hoffman, Andy Skolnick, Sarah Locke, Bob Wisnia, Kathleen Hunter, and I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Jim Horwitz, who's our newest member of the commission. And Jim, welcome, and thank you for joining us. We appreciate your joining the commission. We're ably supported by the resourceful Chris Sullivan, our town land use analyst and zoning enforcement officer. Nice to see all of you, and thank you for those of you who have chosen to come in person. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. Our agenda tonight is published on the town website. Our primary agenda item is to review, accept, and hear public comments on the town's plan of conservation and development document. So that's the main gist of what we'll be doing this evening. And you can, of course, again, as I said, read that on the town website, and we have some other matters as well, which we'll get to in a minute. First, a matter of housekeeping. Our duly elected commission secretary is Mr. Paul Schatz. Paul was not able to be here this evening, but he's our elected secretary. Our elected vice chairman is Aaron Hoffman. I appreciate both of them serving on the commission. I became the acting chair on September 22nd when our previous chairman resigned. And at this point in time, now that Jim has joined our commission, we have a full commission with a full roster. So at this point in time, I'm going to move forward and remove myself and ask for a vote from acting chair to be the chair. Aaron?
Make a motion to nominate Jeff Kennedy as the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you. Just for the general,
I did.
and just so that folks know, we have a little event going on tomorrow in town, obviously, and then it's November, so this panel's officers may reset as early as January, February of next year, so we'll see sort of how that goes. But we have a full and intact commission and fully staffed. Thank you for your time to allow us to go through that. In a moment, we're going to go ahead with our public hearing and the plan of conservation and development. In new business, we have no matters that have come in, correct, Chris?
That is correct.
So there's no new business that has come in. And in our work session, we'll likely discuss the POCD, receive an update on 114 Luciani Street, which may just be a written record. I believe that will be the case. And we'll have a few other items as well. We'll hear from our zoning enforcement officer, housing commissioner, and can we have an update on Scribe?
You can.
All right, thank you. Okay. So at this point in time, what I want to do is move into our public hearing, and I'll make a couple of comments about that. This public hearing is for the purpose of listening to your comments about the plan of conservation and development. You'll each have about 3 minutes or so and to make a brief statement on your thoughts on the POCD. Your public statements and written comments that were submitted to the town will become part of the public record for the TPC consideration as we work on the POCD. I will say we have received some things in the mail and through email. We appreciate people taking the time to sit down and write us and then send something in. We read those comments and we appreciate them very much. Please keep your comments brief and focused on the plan of conservation and development. There's other matters before the commission that you may feel you want to comment on, but this evening we're just doing the plan of conservation and development. So right before I move into the public comments of that, I did want to recognize and thank Nina Peak and Taylor Daigle for attending tonight, both of whom had a long drive. They're from the firm that is helping the TPC to prepare the POCD. All right. So with that, I'm going to open up the comments. If you'd like to have something to say, read something into the record, submit something to us, please feel free to step up to the mic. You have to sign in. Please put your name, your address, and let us know what you'd like to say. It's right. Yeah, it's on the top.
Hi, I'm Kevin Tatro. I live in 30 Orchard Road. I've been in the town for about 18 years. Just a little background on me. I ran the capital markets group for JP Morgan, for Merrill Lynch. I've been in the commercial real estate space for about 40 years. My primary job is working out distressed debt and things that are a mess, so I'm there to fix things. I recently retired. I have a little bit more time to pay attention to what's going on. Last year, when they wanted to develop the commercial property at the country club, it took me 3 minutes to look it up and find out the 3 guys they wanted to give this contract to were probably 3 of the most unscrupulous people in the country, other than anybody who's in jail. I look at this and I say, we're a small town. Small towns make lots of errors. I've seen thousands of them. It's either errors based on misunderstanding and sometimes corruption. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding going on around the country club, and that bothers me a lot when I've seen this development plan. We've got a beautiful little town. We should be proud of our little town. And the idea of needing to develop, we've got a downtown district that's a bit of a mess. I mean, it's nice and whatever, but it could be a whole lot better. We just built senior housing down there that costs $650,000 to $1 million. Now, I'm a fairly wealthy guy, and I could afford that, but that's not senior housing, especially when it's 2-story and most of the living space is upstairs for the bedrooms. 2,500 square feet is not for a poor person to move into when they're downsizing or something. It's not affordable housing. We do have a thing in the state, and I've been through it many times with Avalon Bay and others, where they want to come in and take over a town and put in whatever they want. The first thing you can do to make that happen is put sewers in line, to put public water in line. That gives them the right to do that all over the town once you do it once. You make a zoning variance for one thing, it's applicable to the whole town. They're going to go to court and sue you. So here we are with the country club, and I look at the plan, and I see potential hotel, retail, and restaurant. We can't even have a restaurant survive on the main road here. How are you going to have a restaurant survive out there? I can't tell you how many buildings out in the middle of nowhere I've got to look at and said, what am I going to do with this? We've got an abandoned country club there, and are we going to have an abandoned hotel out there? Does anybody think that people are going to go to a hotel in the middle of nowhere? Are we going to have a restaurant out there? How many cars go by there, or people are going to go there for a restaurant? That piece of the development plan to me is somewhat ridiculous. We've had this property for 16 years, and we purchased it so some developer wouldn't come in and do something crazy there. And we've repeatedly tried to do some of the worst things we could do for themselves. I was on Orange when Lenosi came in and built the country club there. 17 houses that were supposed to be age restricted. 4,500 square feet apiece and 4 and 5 bedrooms. Oops, we forgot to file the age restriction. Oh, what'd you have? You had 3 kids per place in there at $20,000 apiece, and you collected $10,000 in taxes on it. Net loss to the town was huge money every year. You don't need to do things that lose this town money. I think a lot of people want to make money in this town because our taxes are very high. They're quite high. We have a very little commercial district. I think we got to take that commercial district, do something significant with it. Trying to build a commercial district, a new one, out in the middle of nowhere, where there's no bus transportation, there's no, seniors can't get back and forth from anywhere. If you want to build some houses and sell some land along Johnson Road or something, that kind of makes sense. It's new houses, you're going to get kids in it, you're going to lose money on it. But I kind of get that. Putting a hotel, a restaurant, a retail center out in the middle of nowhere, come on, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure that out. So when I look at this development plan, we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in the last 16 years trying to do something with that place. And the fact is we let a beautiful country club go to waste, and it's a destroyed building now, and it's been 16 years. It's about time we do something. But thinking that you're gonna make your profit and your income on a hotel and retail and whatever else, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little skewed, but I've been all over the entire country and I've seen this with 1,000 different little communities. It's only gonna make the developers money. And if anybody wants to talk about it in any depth, I'm happy to do things like talk about the fact they come in and build the houses first and say, oh, we'll finish the other part later. Or when something else needs to get done, then say, hey, we need some input from the town, we need some money to make this thing happen as it's half built. I can't tell you how much of that I've seen. And I just don't want that to happen to us. It's a really great town. I think people like it as it is. We'd like our taxes to be lower. We can do that through some commercial development. We've got a great commercial space, and it's severely underutilized. So, you know, I know I've been talking more than my 3 minutes, but
You're good.
that's
Thank
my
you, Kevin. I
basic.
appreciate it. Now that you're retired, too, you might want to get involved in town business. We'll see what happens.
I've got kind of an attitude. I don't know if you want me.
Well,
Thanks for your time.
Kevin is good. I appreciate your contribution and your opinion. Thank you for your time tonight. Anybody else?
Good evening, Amy Morello, 184 Rimmon Road. While I'm sending in a question about process, for those of us who submitted comments in writing or would want to see what other people put in writing, are those going to be posted something? Right now, they were just sent to POCD@woodbridgect.org, but are they going to, all
There's a
comments
list.
going to be made public?
There's a list, and I was waiting, yours was the last comment that came in. And so tomorrow, having had now all the comments, I believe, that were submitted through that website, and to date, they will get posted on the town website.
Okay.
So there's a total of 13 different people, or Board of Selectmen, or South Central Regional Council of Governments is included in there. And at the conclusion of public comment, we can read this list into the public record.
And does that list include the unanimous rejection of the POCD in its draft form by the Board of Selectmen? Which was a matter
What
that
we
was
were
voted?
sent by the Board of Selectmen was a cover email dated September 16th, 2025, and it was accompanied by 3 documents. It was feedback and recommendations of the draft POCD dated September 8th, 2025, from the Woodbridge Conservation Commission, pages 1 through 27 only of the Woodbridge POCD draft with notes attached, the POCD consolidated page edits, and another document called POCD Consolidated General Feedback. And that's what was received from the Board of Selectmen. There was no other correspondence that was sent by the Board of Selectmen.
So it should be noted for the record that the Board of Selectmen did vote, and it is in the minutes that they voted unanimously to reject it. I think others here may be able to speak. There were a total of 3 votes taken by the Board of Selectmen. Was it September 10th?
Yes.
September 10th. And certainly I would think that this board would be interested to know what the Board of Selectmen had to say about your draft POCD. So I encourage you to make that also something that you look into, and you make a part of the record of this exercise. And I think it would be relevant to your deliberations this evening. I'm here to offer a general critique of the draft POCD and offer also several specific suggestions. Generally, as I noted to the Board of Selectmen before they voted against this POCD, the draft is a failure. And it's a failure because it focuses too much on constructing more housing and fails to recognize the importance and value of preserving and protecting our natural resources. As others have said, it is a POD, not a POCD, the C being for conservation. That's what's missing. This flaw is a direct result of the POCD's reliance on a flawed affordable housing plan. Ever since the Affordable Housing Plan was adopted in an unnecessarily rushed fashion in 2022, I and others have pointed out the flaws in the plan. We urged the Ad Hoc Housing Committee to correct the Affordable Housing Plan, and when they declined, we turned to the Board of Selectmen, to which the Housing Committee reports, detailing the substantial flaws and the need for correction. Most recently, in January 2025, comments to the Board of Selectmen I warned that the POCD would be flawed if the Housing Committee failed to fix its flawed affordable housing plan. Also generally, the draft is a failure because the POCD draft fails to recognize the results of the TPZ's own survey. Again, I raised this concern in January 2025. The POCD process began with a townwide survey in July of 2024. That survey should have been the basis for developing the POCD. Notably, the survey shows that residents give top ranking to open space at 72.2%, then schools at 70.4%, when asked what is special about life in Woodbridge. When listing priority focus areas for Woodbridge over the next 10 years, residents rank schools number 1 at 8.45, economic development number 2 at 8.42, and open space number 3 at 6.44 as their top 3 choices of 11 options. Notably, the next 10 years is the period for which will be covered for the POCD. Affordable housing rank 8th at 5.37, and housing stock rank 10th at 4.97. Clearly, residents value open space more highly than the development of more housing in town. They also want the town to focus on economic development. And unfortunately, the draft POCD ignores these survey results and instead relies heavily on the flawed affordable housing plan. As an example, the draft POCD devotes nearly a full page to the affordable housing plan's priorities. You can see it on page 20, but never incorporates the graphs and charts from the 2024 survey results. In order to fix the draft's skewed viewpoint and failure to rely on the TPZ's own survey results, a complete overhaul is required. Residents' interest in open space and economic development deserve more attention, while the housing focus needs to be rebalanced. As an example of the work needed, here are a few specific suggestions. 1, the full text of the survey results summary should be incorporated into the POCD near the beginning of the document, instead of burying it in an appendix. The town's role as public water supply watershed should be described, and a full-page map of the town showing the watershed area should be included, just as there is a map of the public sewer and water lines. The state green plan, which has not yet been achieved, the town open space plan, and the more recent state focus on climate change should be described in a separate section. The plan should acknowledge and summarize the existing septic system problems in the Highlands neighborhood up the hill from Brookfield Market. The lots there are generally smaller than 1.5 acres, impeding the ability to site drinking water wells at a proper distance from septic systems, and impeding the options for addressing a septic system that no longer works effectively. I know of at least one homeowner in the neighborhood that had to install ultraviolet treatment on her potable water system due to septic leak contamination. The POCD should expressly give priority to this neighborhood in contemplating any expansion of sewers in town. Now, once these corrections are made, and more are made to the first half of the POCD, it should become obvious that the visions, themes, and goals need to be modified accordingly. I'd also like to point out, just as an example, that there are some detailed problems with it, as well as these big changes. I'm just going to give you 2 examples, but these are examples of why you need to read this document more carefully. The description of the TPZ meetings on page 5 should expressly acknowledge that there is no opportunity for public comment at TPZ meetings, even if the meetings are, as described, open, quote unquote, because the descriptions of the meetings as open could be misunderstood. Notably, there has been never an opportunity until now for residents to offer comments directly to the TPZ members regarding the POCD update. The workshops you've had have been attended largely by the consultant and by Chris, who has been there faithfully, but there's been not opportunity to come before you as the process is proceeded. Another example is at page 17. There, the draft suggests that rental rates are higher in Woodbridge than for the SCROG generally. However, the draft seems to include the 2 assisted living communities in the count of rental apartments. And their rental rates include meals, as I know, because my father and my father-in-law are both at Coachman Square. The data needs to be scrubbed to make sure that apples are being compared to apples. So I would urge you to really take another close look. I believe there's a process of actually having a committee set up to assist you in this. At a minimum, I would suggest that the Conservation Commission be invited to offer not only the comments that have been submitted on your record, but more detailed comments for the entire document, so we can truly end something that is a POCD and is representative of the survey results from July of the summer of 2024.
Yeah, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Mason, and I'm at 815 Fountain Street. My comments are going to be very general, and I think the theme is sort of be careful what you wish for. I think the plan is too heavily weighted in favor of development. I say that as a developer's son. By way of background, my father started out as a mergers and acquisition lawyer, as a partner in a very large Wall Street firm. He left that firm in 1959 and became associate general counsel of W.R. Grace, a widely diversified then shipping and chemical company with operations in 80 countries. 10 years later, Peter Grace walked into his office and said, "You know, a lot of these major companies are making millions in real estate, like Philip Morris Corporation, which owned the Mission Viejo company and was building thousands of houses in California." And he said, "I'd like you to do the same thing." To which my father said, "What?" So he set about doing that, and he built up a real estate division within Grace that built about 6,000 houses a year, shopping centers, apartment buildings. It also had one of the 100 largest real estate investment trusts and a mortgage brokerage outfit. And then he eventually ended up 10 years later, after that, in 1979, acquiring that division with financing from various banks who trusted him. When he died in 1989, I had to go on to the board of the company that he had acquired, and I spent 6 years unwinding it. So I have some familiarity with the real estate process. All right, it's amazingly complex. What I want to say is this. Well, first, I wish my father had never left the legal division, but that's another issue. But and I am a lawyer. But you know, out in California, and I've just been here for 4 years, and I was out in Los Angeles and the Orange County area in San Diego, and I had to be there. I had to go out and take care of things for business, and the kids loved it out there, so we didn't move. We stayed here for 35 years. We hated it every day for 35 years, and we said, the minute we get ready to retire, we're going back east. Because I grew up in New York, we used to vacation in Connecticut, all right? I don't want to see happen here what I saw happen in town after town after town in California. And that is, you let them come in, they build what they say are going to be condominiums. Then it turns out not economic enough, they flip them to apartment buildings. And so you have towns just running next to each other and next to each other and next to each other, where there are nothing but apartment developments, one after another, after another, after another. And I guess my message is, when I say be careful what you wish for, because once that starts to happen, and once it happens, you can't go back. You can't go back. So if you destroy the beauty of this town, the character that this town has, and I see people love it. I love it. I drive up my street. I can't believe I'm going to spend my last years here. It's just absolutely fantastic, and I would hate to see it. I would hate to see it be spoiled. So that's it. It's very general, but you know, those are my thoughts. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Kathy Wick, I live on Rimmon Road. I actually also had a process question. As you're aware, I'm sure, the Board of Selectmen held a public hearing on the POCD, and actually there were 3 sessions. There was one at the end of August, and then 2 in early September, culminating with the September 10th meeting that Amy mentioned before. There were many speakers at those meetings. Many people submitted written comments at those meetings, and it wasn't clear, Christine, from your description whether all of those comments were captured in what was transmitted from the selectmen to this board for the record. Is that the case or no?
The Board of Selectmen, under statute, is supposed to submit a report. And what was forwarded to the commission was an email from Allison with 4 attachments, what I read to you. And that was it.
So it did not include all of the commentary at those 3 separate hearings?
Nor normally would it do that.
Okay.
It would be a report, which would be a finding
Okay.
of whatever.
Well, I think given the unfortunate timing of this meeting, the night before our town election, the low turnout here, normally at a hearing like this, you would have a full house. 10 years ago, we had a full house in the gym across the way with at least 100 people, potentially more. And I think that there was some, certainly the scheduling is an issue with this being the night before the election, and there's not been a lot of attention to this particular hearing because the Board of Selectmen did hold a 3-part hearing in the past. So I would urge all of you to get those comments that were submitted by residents, because I think many people may have felt that they've already made their comments because they made them to the Board of Selectmen. I don't think it's necessarily clear to everyone that this is a totally separate process and those comments wouldn't necessarily be transferred. So I think it would be very useful for you to, there are videos of all those meetings. Obviously, you can watch the public comment on your own time. Perhaps you can request from the selectman, the first selectman's office, that all of those comments be transmitted to you and be made part of the record. I think you'd find that very useful because, as you see, there aren't very many people here to submit comments because I do believe that most people feel they've already done so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sharon Ducat. I'm the co-chair of the Conservation Commission. And we've actually spent the past year working on the POCD also and submitted many, many pages. And I reviewed it with 5 or 6 other POCDs in other towns like Westport or Guilford or Madison or parts of Danbury. And a lot of them put a lot more emphasis and their recent POCDs on the conservation portion than we have presently in the draft proposal. And we gave you a lot of submissions, and somewhere in the back, you chose to endorse a lot of those. But in the text and in the majority of the paper or the presentation, it has very, very little of it, and it contradicts what we said explicitly many, many times. And we asked Christine and many others if we could come before you month after month, and we were very explicitly told, do your work, submit it, it will be included. And we met just once with the consultants, and it was rushed, and we had no guidance as to what to do at all. And we were a pretty young commission. So I think we cobbled together a pretty good presentation as to what we think is a reasonable thing to think of as conservation, knowing that 86% of the town thinks it's a really high priority. So we were really pretty stunned that we were so shunned. And we would love to work with you guys to really create something that represents the C part of POCD. And we did submit a letter to you, and my phone is about to run out of battery, so I'm just gonna share with you the,
Sharon, was this
Some
the
of the-
letter that Ben Carlson forwarded again today?
Yes.
That was part of the Board of Selectmen's submission?
Yes.
They've received that letter twice, it's 10 pages long.
okay, I'm just gonna highlight a few of the, and have you guys read it, I guess is the question. And maybe you have some questions for me. But I think one of the key things that is, I mean, there's many parts that are in discordant with conservation, as everyone has spoken about. But one of the key things is that in the metrics of it, you never say, we'd like 500 houses, or we'd like 1,000 houses, or 10,000 houses. There's no, like Mr. Morrison said, there's no gating on it at all. It's like, as soon as the gates are open, there's nobody says that, oh, we're satisfied with this amount. And so people could come to us again and again saying, oh, well, in the POCD, you want housing. And there'd be no place to say, oh, yes, well, we really only wanted 200 units. We don't want 7,000 units. And in many instances, the doors are so wide open that there's no place for conservation at all. And in our research with the Woodbridge Country Club, we're finding that there's endangered bats, there's endangered birds, there's lots of endangered species. You guys don't seem to be interested in that the environment's endangered, and I think, take heed. You really need to be listening to us to tell you that there are really detriments to overdeveloping, not only for, you know, the economics of it, but because creatures that support our environment are going to be lost and going to be not replaceable. And that is not good for our town, that's not good for our county, and that's not good for our state. And it's not responsible for you guys to not be taking that into consideration. So I really hope that you work with us. We're not trying to be excessive, we're trying to really protect the environment where we live and breathe, and to make it a place where we all want to be. And I'd love to share my enthusiasm with you about that and kind of co-create that with some housing that people need. So if you're interested, we are open to communicating with you. And if you're not, I'd really like to be told why not in a formal way, because we need to know why you don't take us seriously. Okay? Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, my name is Joy Prudhomme, and I live at 21 Barberry Lane. I want to start by just saying that I have appreciation for the amount of time and effort that has been spent on the POCD. I was a conservation commissioner up until April of this year, and I resigned because of this process. The POCD process was extremely frustrating. Working with TPZ should not have been, or the consultant, it should not have gone that way. And I just want to acknowledge that there are, you know, not just conservation, but, you know, a lot of different boards and commissions that were weighing in that spent you know, a good 12 to 18 months, you know, thinking about this and submitting comments and looking for some guidance and looking for some time with the consultant of how to weigh in, looking at different towns and what they were doing, looking at what the state POCD was. And, you know, these are volunteers like yourselves. And so I think that, you know, you weren't the only ones spending a significant amount of time on this. The work product or the end result, this draft, is not a good product. In fact, I'm embarrassed with this product. And I happen to know, there was, this town was crawling with consultants this entire year. And maybe the confusion of all of that has caused the really sloppy product that we have. But I also think that it's also an indication of the fact that, we know there's an agenda, we know there's a housing crisis, we know there's an environmental crisis, and the POCD is this kind of perfect document opportunity to capture, our 10-year vision for 2025 to 2035 of what we could do for not just getting some housing here that's much needed, but also balance it with what we need to do with our green spaces. With this region that we are clumped into with Scrog, that seems to be, one of the ways we get lots of advice and lots of consultants. They seem very eager to get their hands on Woodbridge's remaining green spaces, especially to develop it. And I find that troubling because I have done a lot of research into Scrog, and they are one of the cogs in Connecticut that I think is also not great as cogs go. They are not balanced. They are very, very focused on housing, okay? And Woodbridge is this tiny little green space, lovely bucolic town, but one of the last of the towns in its region. And it is our responsibility to make sure that we protect that. So as a recent conservation commissioner, I really think you should all press the pause button. I've said this at many different public comments throughout the year and throughout the process. I think that this product, looking so different from any previous POCDs we've had, but also you need to do better. The people that live here deserve better. The future generations deserve better. We have a lot of young people here tonight. I think they care about the environment and what's going on. So we need to do this better. We can't just knock all the trees down and just build. There's plenty of disturbed areas. We have the business district. We have parts of the country club that is disturbed already that we could do something different with that. But cutting more trees down and taking habitats and just, pollinator pathways and just not allowing, for the future preservation of these resources is criminal, quite honestly. And that's all I have to say. I think I hope that you take heed. I'm very disturbed because I know this was rejected with the Board of Selectmen. I don't know if that is just being ignored conveniently. I'm also disturbed that this is the night before the election. I really hope that we have some major change tomorrow because I think we need to clean house and we need to start over. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? One more time, you're supposed to ask 3 times, which sounds ridiculous, but anybody else, any final comments from the public on the POCD? Thank you for coming and thank you for reading your comments into the record. We have quite a bit of data and information that have come from you in written form, and that's part of the record and is included in all of the commission's records on the POCD. So thank you very much. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we should just
Please.
note formally for the record what was submitted.
Sure.
So we have review comments from the South Central Regional Council of Governments dated August 15th, 2025. There was a cover email from Allison Balsamas dated September 16th, 2025 with POCD feedback documents. A, feedback and recommendations for the draft POCD dated September 8th, 2025 from the Woodbridge Conservation Commission. B, pages 1 through 27 only of the Woodbridge POCD draft with notes.
Chris, can you speak up a little, please?
C, the POCD consolidated page edits. D, the POCD consolidated general feedback. An email dated August 16th, 2025 from Karen Sklarz of 11 Deepwood Road. An email dated August 23rd, 2025 from Joyce Simpson of 5 Oak Hill Lane. An email dated September 4th, 2025 from Karen Sklarz. An email dated September 10th, 2025 from Mary Dean, Secretary of the Amity Woodbridge Historical Society. An email dated October 1st, 2025 from Nicole Donzello with an attached CUPOC, Commission for the Use of Publicly Owned Properties, edits, recommendations for the POCD implementation table. An email dated October 31st, 2025 from Linda Cohen. An email dated November 3rd, 2025 from Mary Dean regarding the Historic and Cultural Resources section of the POCD. Email comments dated November 3rd, 2025 from Jacqueline Gibbons, 19 Beecher Road. An email dated November 3rd, 2025 from Ben Carlson with an attached Conservation Commission feedback on the current POCD, referencing back to item 2A above. Emailed comments dated 11/3/25 from Rob Rossacaro, sorry, I slaughtered it, 6 Westwood Road, and emailed comments dated 11/3/2025 from Amy Morello, 184 Rimmon Road. And that is your written hearing record.
May I ask a question? I submitted an email several weeks ago. I didn't hear my name.
Where did you submit it to?
Online to that data. I would go check and make sure it went through.
If you can, I just looked at it
Yep.
today,
Yep.
and that's all that came up. There was a change in the email address from .org to .gov, but it should have processed through all the emails. So if you can find that and send it to me on my town email, which is ksullivan@woodbridgect.gov,
Okay,
then I will include that into the record.
thank you very much.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Okay, Chris, do I need to close the public hearing now, or could I do that right if we went into the work session?
You should, if you're comfortable closing it now and you would like to, you should vote to close it now.
Okay. So in order for us to have a work session this evening, we're going to close the public hearing for the POCD. Do I have someone that wants to motion that?
And just so we know, Kathy is up first in rotation, and Dr. Wisney is up second, and we have Ben Cherry, who is excused, and we have Paul Schatz, who's unable to attend this evening. So
Right.
we need to seat 2 people, so that would be
Kathy
Kathy
and-
and Dr. Wisney.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing for the Plan of Conservation and Development. And do I have a second? A second. So some discussion on that? Anybody want to discuss that? Any comments on that? Okay, all in favor of closing the public hearing for the Plan of Conservation and Development, please say aye. Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
You abstain?
Yeah.
Yep, okay, understood. So we have 1 abstention. Any against? Okay, so it's closed.
And I'm sorry, who moved it?
Sarah Locke.
Sarah isn't voting,
Oh, sorry, that's true. My
so
apologies.
you need to retake that one.
Okay, I'll motion to close the POCD public hearing.
And I second.
Second. Bob.
No, I got that.
Okay, all right,
So
so
now we need to revote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, all right. All right, that concludes the public hearing portion of our meeting. Thank you very much on the POCD. With new business, we have no new business this evening to discuss or to bring up. There's no new items that have come up. So we're going to move into our work session, and that will include the first topic being discussion and appropriate action on adoption of the draft POCD. So any comments from commissioners?
So Mr. Chairman, what would be the process to incorporate the suggestions and comments and recommendations that we have received? Is that something, do we still have SLR on the case to make those changes for us?
We do, and a few thoughts, since we're in our work session, a few thoughts on the POCD. So we have received substantial comment from the public. We've had 2 meetings in public. We've had this hearing this evening. We've had all the material that have been submitted into the record. We do have SLR's assistance that has been happening here for several months. We have a draft of the POCD, and what I would suggest to members, what I want to do is review all this material. A good deal of it came in today. Even during this afternoon, we had a number of things come in. And so what my plan would be is to take a look at all that material, read through it, and then for commissioners to digest that material and go back to the existing draft in its current form and make changes as we feel would be appropriate, taking into consideration everything that has come in from the Board of Selectmen, to emails that have come in, to presentations that people have made. So that's the plan of action that I plan to take. So what we would do is we would then have a revised draft of the POCD, and we would all work on that together, and then I would plan to move to the commission to vote on that and to move into a position where we could get a vote in the not too distant future. I don't know how long this will take. It could take a few weeks. Hopefully it won't take much longer than that, but that's what I would say we should do.
Would we require another public hearing with respect to any revised draft? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, does that revised draft have to be submitted or submitted to the Board of Selectmen again for their approval or rejection?
Well, on the final revised draft, I believe that the commission members can just vote on that, and then it would be completed. And we would be able to move forward. I don't believe this has to go back to the Board of Selectmen, correct, Chris?
I'm not your attorney, nor do I play one.
You can do it tonight.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, okay.
But Nina and Taylor are here. So it is my understanding in the course of when you were meeting with Rob, who was there before, that there are 2 kinds of comments that you can receive and look at within the town plan. Some are substantive and some are non-substantive. The non-substantive ones, which are generally corrections of grammar, or maybe a word's misaligned, something like that, those changes don't have to formally be recognized in a motion. But substantive changes should be. Am I correct, Nina? So as you went through the draft, you would have to compile the changes, in a sense, on a page-by-page thing, indicating a substantive change. And so those changes would be incorporated into the motion that you make. So you would make a motion, if that was your decision,
Sure.
to adopt a draft or adopt a POCD with this litany of changes, whatever they might be, and then set it with an effective date.
Understood. The thing that I find difficult about it is, as reading it through, like, what is, to some people something might be substantive, and to another person it's not substantive. So it's kind of tricky, a little bit to do that, but in an effort to keep it going, we'll do that. We'll work with SLR to do it. But I think it's a little tricky. If a comma is missing or a photograph is missing, obviously it's not substantive. But
If you're
Yeah.
changing an action step, I
That's
sent
substantial.
everybody that definition that was given to
Yeah.
us
Yeah, we
back at the end of May by Rob.
Okay.
And so that's, to the best of my knowledge, unless Nina wants to give us an updated one, that's what you base your substantive changes on. So if you're changing an action step, if you're changing a goal, something like that is substantive. And those are what you would outline. It is not my understanding, or it is my understanding, that it does not have to go back to COG. It does not have to go back to the Board of Selectmen. You know, the public hearing on the POCD is this public hearing.
Understood, understood. Okay, so, you know, my idea then is to incorporate all of this as a commission. Now, individually, we can make changes, right? And then send them to you, because that's what we've been doing. And, or SLR, that you collect them and then we try to collate it.
We have to be able to identify what they are. So it may not, I don't know, Nina, what do you think? To me, changing, you know, doing a correct document change is gonna be harder to identify in terms of adding into a motion what's being changed. So you may have to sit there and say, you know, on page blankety blank, do this.
I think what we'll do is we'll consolidate all of the comments into a single document and then provide that, you know, and Chris, if you want to do that, that's fine, we can work that out, the details of it, but then go comment by comment and say how that will be addressed in the POCD. We can even put the exact language and the page number, and that document can be part of your motion as an appendix or a compendium of comments that, so that makes sure that you captured all of them, that it's documented how everything was addressed, what the text amendment will be in the POCD, and all of those changes will be made in the POCD document, if that works for you. We really just want to make sure that we're not missing anything.
Okay, and so when that's done, can we put this up on the website for people to review? Right?
Your public hearing
It's-
is closed.
Okay.
You cannot accept any more comment. So you can have it up there for people to look at.
Yeah,
But it has to be understood that they're looking at it, they're not commenting.
understood, and I'm going somewhere with that, but yes, I understand. Okay, so that would be the process that we would do. So we will meet with you, get you that information, that data, then you'll work on that, and then we should probably have a meeting in December
Or sooner.
or sooner. if we
Depends
could-
on what's your time frame.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you said, right, a bunch of comments came in today. We want to parse through the comments that were offered tonight verbally. We'll put together a list and then we'll figure out a time to meet.
And just a suggestion for process, because
Please.
I used to do this a lot when I worked for the city of Bridgeport, because we used to do this when we did consolidated planning. And you have to take in comments, and you have to, you know, say what the comment is, and then it's not like you agree with every comment. You have to say, yes, we incorporated this comment here in this document, or no, we're not gonna incorporate this comment and the reason why, and this way people understand, you know, what comments we're accepting and what comments we're not accepting. Because some comments, you know, this is a process that's regulated by state regulations, and there are some provisions that we have to abide to. So it's not like, you know, we could take, you know, certain drastic measures on the POCD.
Understood. Okay, so your time frame on that, the first component of it, you want to,
Give us a little time to pull it together and we'll get back to you.
that sounds good, all right? And then we'll get, maybe Chris, you can poll us on a date for a potential meeting on it. when that comes in.
Yeah. Any date that you don't want?
Well, what day's Thanksgiving?
We're not getting together for dinner, no, that would not be
No,
a legal
okay,
meeting.
all right. Well, why don't we have them respond, get back to us, and then we can send that.
So I
All
will
right,
forward to SLR everything in one fell swoop, so they've got everything.
Sure.
And we'll go from there.
Good, okay. So let me make a couple of other comments, because I think this is helpful in terms of the process, because there have been process comments from people that I think should be addressed, and I want to address them. So the POCD does need to get finished. It can't be a process that goes on and on for weeks and weeks and months and months. We are late with getting the document to the state, and it's not going to be possible to get it in a perfect format that makes everybody completely happy about how the document looks. But we can I believe this commission can reach a consensus in the near term, taking all of this data, working together, and get a plan of conservation and development that's reflective of the values of our town and has as much consensus and collaboration as we can in the next few weeks. I think that we can do that, and that's what we're pushing for. So I'm going to push that get done, and then the commission members will vote on that, and then we can give it to the state. That said, the POCD, while everyone throws around this 10-year type comment about it, that it's a 10-year document and so forth, it can be amended. You know, towns amend the POCD, they do so over time. It's certainly possible. I noticed the second motion by the Board of Selectmen, I almost said Board of Directors, but yeah, you know, switch over to the municipal, right? So the Board of Selectmen, suggested possibly setting up a committee at some point, a working committee, to incorporate different people's points of view in time. I'm open to doing something like that and having some kind of working committee at some point. We'll have to see what our commission looks like next year. But having a committee that reports to the commission that has different types of discussion and so forth, and I think that would be helpful for the town of Woodbridge and might contribute to more transparency and people having a say in how things work. But we really need to get the POCD to the state, because we will start to lose out on grants and other types of things that the government and the state requires us to have a completed POCD to do. So that's my plan, and any commissioners, if you want to have something to say about that, or...
What is the time frame for the state? You said you have to get it...
We're over it.
But right now, the
When do we
town
risk losing grants?
We've already lost the grant. And so part of the big process, when we went through and met individually, because I was at every meeting with Rob, he asked each board, commission, or staff person, finance, like Tony Genovese and Warren Connors and whatnot, what projects do you envision in the next 10 years do you need or conceive that you would need a grant for? And we asked everybody to make sure that whatever they submitted included that language, because what you have to remember is that the POCD is a guidance document. It is not an ordinance, it is not regulations. The state in the statutes sets forth that which has to be in the POCD. What's striking is that SCROG, who reviews POCDs for 15 different municipalities, didn't have any negative comment at all in terms of its conformity with the regional plan and the state plan. And that's an important thing to note. So, as Jeff has said, there's no reason that the POCD cannot be amended. The existing POCD was amended. The POCD before that was amended. So it's a process that this town is not unfamiliar with, but to fail to have a POCD in place is short in terms of grants that the town may or may not get.
I think under statute, it can be amended as many times as you like.
Yes.
And as frequently as we like.
It just has to go through the process of review to SCROG. It gets sent to the Board of Selectmen, so there's a time frame for doing it. But the bottom line is, it is a document produced by the planning component of the Town Plan and Zoning Commission. It is not owned by statute by any other board or commission. It is the planning document of the planning component of your commission.
So we don't have to resubmit this to SCR, COG, or the Board of Selectmen. That's what been said.
Both the Board of Selectmen and SCROG had 65 days to review and comment. With the Board of Selectmen voting against it, it means you need a majority vote of approval to override their vote. That's all it means that way. Certainly, their comments are something you need to review and take into consideration.
What about this SCRG?
I can't understand.
No, what about this other group, that's SCROG? What?
Do we have to send this
Do we
back
have
to
to send
SCROG?
back to them?
When it's adopted, it goes to the state, and we also furnish a copy to SCROG. They don't get to comment on it
Okay.
again, you just, this is what you
That's-
adopted.
So that's the urgency of the matter. But the commission is also recognizing that people see it as a living document. It can be amended over time and people can have further discussions about it. But as a town, let's get this done for the state and let's move this along. But we're gonna listen to what everybody had to say. We have a large record to draw from and we're gonna do our jobs. And we're gonna have a Woodbridge, quality document to give to the state when this is done. And we're gonna take a close look at it. We're gonna do the right thing and we're gonna file it with the state and get a vote on it. Okay?
And I should just note for the record,
Please.
I have no axe to grind in this because I do not live in your fair town.
Right. All right. Any further discussion from any commissioner under our work session for the draft POCD? Any further comment? Anything anyone wants to say?
It's really more of a question for, to be referred to town council, but,
Sure.
and that has to do with the effect of the amendment to the POCD that was made last December, and whether that qualifies as an amendment every 10 years and would otherwise release the grants that have been held in abeyance.
Andy, I think that's a great question. Chris, I'm not sure if you heard him, but
I did.
so we did change the POCD, so we technically updated it at one point. So could we get the state to say, okay, well, you have updated your POCD?
That wasn't, devil's advocate, I don't think that was an update. I think that was an amendment to a particular part.
All right. I thought it was worth hearing. I thought that's a pretty good comment. We can ask him, I mean.
I'd just like to hear
ask.
from the council's opinion about
We'll,
that.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
ask the question.
Mrs. Skolnick, I will reach out and get that.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I'm not suggesting that that be in lieu
No, it's
of
helpful.
the work to be done on this one,
Sure.
but only to allow the town access to any grants or funds.
Yeah,
that's
I think
otherwise
it's a fair point.
Can I just ask, when that amendment to POCD was done in 2021, was that provided to the state?
It was an amendment to the plans. I mean, it was an amendment, yes.
Okay, so it went to the state. So technically, it could count as an amendment to POCD.
It's an amendment. It's not, what you're doing every 10 years is looking at the whole thing
I know.
and updating it. Jeff will ask the question. I am not an attorney.
Okay. Good? All right. All right, next, under work session, 114 Luciani Street. Is the applicant here? Oh, he is. All right.
I submitted a letter.
You did submit a letter. Is he, can we ask questions of him?
It's on here. It says, what does it say?
So this is his update regarding 114 Luciani Street. All right, let's take a look at this. Everybody should have a copy of this. This is an update on the 114 Luciano property. Okay, when, Chris, does this expire?
You made it expire the end of December.
So 12/31/2025, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You wanted a report at the end of October.
All right. Any commissioners have any questions based on this? We just got it, but any commissioners have any comments or questions?
We did get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Tonight,
So then I just got
Yeah, I'll look at yours.
Yeah.
I have an extra if you want.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So Chris, there's actually a request in this, so it's not just an, I know you just got it. I know you just, there's actually a request in this.
Yeah, he says that. This permit expires the end of December, you said?
Yes.
Correct.
So why don't we see where things are later on and see if it's necessary to, maybe he'll be able to get the work done. It's almost 2 months.
All right, well, we have the comments, which we asked for, so the comment has come in, and it expires it expires at the end of December, at which time it is required to be done. So if the commission takes any action, we would do so at that point in time.
That's what I'm thinking. Some people get any-
All right, all right, that's the update on that.
So do you want me to carry this forward to your
Yes,
December
please,
1st agenda?
please do that, please do that. Ann, you want to take a comment on SCROG? You want to do an update?
Sure, I have forwarded the agenda and attached materials for the October 9th meeting that took place. There was only one action item from the town of Hamden with regard to a proposed zoning text regulations around smoke shops. And there was a public hearing in the town of Hamden about that on October 14th. I don't know what happened, but those materials were circulated to everybody. That's the extent of my report.
Thank you.
We can tag on to that the amendments that the commission opted to go to public hearing with in January have been sent to SCROG, and they will be heard in December. And so we will look forward to a report from SCROG for your hearing on those amendments at your January meeting,
Right.
whoever is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I might add as well that come January 1st, this commission will need to appoint a new representative to the South Central Regional Council of Governments Regional Planning Commission, as my term will be ending.
We appreciate your service.
You're quite welcome.
There's still time to convince you otherwise. We're all happy.
Not for SCRAC. They used to have pizza when we had the in-person meetings for
All
SCRAC,
right.
but it's
All
been remote for the last couple of years.
right, Andy, thank you for your service. Update from the Housing Committee?
Yeah, I did want to report that we're going to have a repeat of the training for affordable fair housing. That will count towards 1 hour for land use officials. The same attorney from the Connecticut Bar Association, Attorney Mark Grants, will be providing that training. It's scheduled for December 4th. I'm still looking to see whether or not we could do this again at the JCC, because I do think that venue was a good venue for that
It was.
training. And I just think it's, I think it's just good timing to have this type of training to go over, fair housing, affordable housing. And also with that, we're hoping by that time, there'll be some movement on the legislative session on House Bill 5002, and if there's any outcome from that, if that's been worked out during the special session that might be going on in November, I'm not sure, but hopefully by December, 4th, we'll have some updates on that. And that's really important to talk about the planning, because that will really guide how the town needs to plan for housing going forward. We'll have some provisions in there. I also just wanted to let folks know, talking about SCROG, that they are having a informational session on water and sewer infrastructure. And they're going to have an engineer who specializes in septic systems and an employee of the Connecticut Water to discuss water and sewer systems and how this infrastructure impacts housing, especially affordable housing. So that is scheduled for November 12th from 12 to 1:30. It's a virtual session. So I will send the information to Chris, and she could send it out to folks. But it would be, I think it would be just a good informational session to tune into.
Thank you. Also, Chris, thank you for setting up the training session for available commission members for November 15th. Jim, I saw you signed up for that. I'll be going to that as well. So, Chris, thank you very much. So on Saturday, November 15th. Is that now closed to applicants wanting to go to that, or commission members wanting to go? Is it still open?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
send it to
Yeah,
So I'm going to that, and also.
so did Catherine.
Oh, you're going to? Okay. Okay. All right.
Mount Grants will actually be there. So he is going to be doing, if you're going to that.
I'm going in person.
You don't necessarily need to do December 4th, but I think
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
have more information because we'll be talking about the House Bill 5002, so.
Thank you. Yeah. May we please have a full and detailed report from our zoning enforcement officer?
No. I have been too busy doing everything else.
Anything you wanted to offer, Chris? I don't think people know in town just how much work you really do.
I've just been running around picking up non-political signs, so.
Okay, appreciate it. Town
No
appreciate it.
roosters. I do have some cars that are abandoned that have to be chased, which I'm working on.
I heard a rooster.
You got a rooster? Let me know
I
where
heard
it is. And I am a certified zoning enforcement officer, and I also have to take training, a certain number of hours. So I will be getting my training session in December 10th.
All right. So next item, which is correspondence received. Let's see, anything under that?
I distributed
You did give
this
us a few
evening to-
items, or when we walked in.
I gave you the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies quarterly newsletter.
Yep.
And that's always got sometimes interesting stuff in it, so,
All right.
and if anybody ever doesn't have anything they have to do and would like to look at them, I do keep the old issues, so you can always thumb through them and whatnot, so.
I'm gonna zero in on what is livestock. I thought that was.
Yes, pygmy goats
All right.
counts as livestock.
All right. And then finally, well, any other business, these are continued, 804 Fountain Street to December 1st, 110 Luciani, December 1st, and the zoning regs that we're revisiting to January 5.
Correct. And we still have not received comment from the fire department on 804 Fountains, so if it's the commission's pleasure, I will send them yet another email asking for their comment.
Yeah.
We're expecting comment from the newly retained town planner on that as well.
And also from the newly retained town planner.
Both of them, so thank you.
So hopefully both. I know that one's in the works. I don't know the status of the fire department one, but I will
Okay.
reach out to them again.
Keep in touch about it. Did you distribute minutes?
I distributed the September 2nd ones to you last time, and I'm still working, for some reason I just don't want to look at them. October 6th and October 20th.
Because you really don't have anything you're working on.
No, I don't.
All right.
And
Well, okay, what's
The
that?
other thing that will be on your agenda for December is scheduling of meeting dates, unless you want to push that off until January. It does have to be filed by the end of January with the
Let's
town
do that.
clerk's office.
Let's do that January 4th.
So we'll do that, and schedule the dates in January. And then that would also be then formal election of officers.
Okay. Anybody else? Any comments? This is where Paul Schatz is like, adjourn. Where's my pizza?
So I'll send out an email asking availability for a special meeting sometime in November to work on the POCD.
Yes.
I'll send the stuff to Nina and Taylor. Once they have a chance to look at it, they can probably give us a better time frame on when they think they'll have something to get back to you to look at. And so then we can kind of go from there. I think you can consider the rest of this week and probably next week off, because next week's a short week too, but then the week after that.
Is the town closed Veterans Day? Is
Yes.
there- Yeah, okay. All right, anybody else? Comments, questions? You good down there, Bob? We're good? Motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
Ooh,
I did.
you did, okay. And who seconded?
I did.
Aaron.
Okay, who wants to go home?
All in favor? Aye. I think it carried unanimously. All right?
And please note, I use myself